Oh my! Wonder why workouts suck. You don't even do them.
All right, so I'll take a second. All right, I'm ready. There we go. Now everybody's got a good look. Now everybody's got a good look at the crap that goes on. All for this freaking podcast. All right.
He does a great job.
Yeah.
Takes 45 minutes to set up.
Still waiting on my sticker.
Sorry. We're negative in profit margins here.
I don't know if we're necessarily making a ton of money on this. All right, guys, welcome back to the Silver Bullet Podcast. I feel as though we should go ahead and just get this out that this might be an offensive podcast.
A little bit. But truth.
Yeah, truth, especially from the way that we see it, somewhat opinionated. And that's fine. I think you should listen to some opinionated stuff every once in a while just so you have a different view of things. Now, today's topic, we're going to talk about essentially, I want to look at it as like, here are the main reasons why workouts just don't do anything for you, or you don't get anything out of workouts, or you don't. I'm trying to avoid saying you don't see results, right? Maybe you just can't stay consistent. Maybe just for whatever reason you're not into it, and they just don't work.
Yeah,
they just don't work. Okay, but you're still doing workouts. Okay, so we're going to kind of look at recentering our focus a little bit on, especially, how long you been in this business? 10, 12?
12 years.
12,
yeah.
So I've been right at like 9. So like we're 20 years of experience into this business. Like we see this a lot, and it took us a long time to really look at it through a different lens and see that, wow, there are so many different reasons for people to work out.
Right.
The obvious ones are like, we're going to lose weight, we're going to get healthy, okay? Those would be pretty good reasons from a surface level view of it, right? But then there are people who work out for various different reasons that are just total bullcrap. And that is what we're going to talk about, okay?
Let's just get to it.
We'll get into it. So, I guess for you, I'll let you kind of lead it off, and then I'll just follow up and back clean up here.
Right. So you posed the question to me. We're kind of thinking about the topic for this podcast, and a lot of it comes from one of our taglines: "When workouts are not enough." That's something we try to educate a lot on here, in helping our culture understand and identify that if you just rely on the workout and the exercise component, more than likely you're not going to be super thrilled with, again, we're using that word, but lack of results. You're not going to get out of it what more than likely you're putting into it, or what we're asking you to put into it. So, I came up with,
I think it'd be simple to say that you're just not going to be happy.
Right. Yeah. You're probably going to have more than likely expectations that you're not living up to. So you won't be happy.
Yeah. And we think of results, what would results be? They don't necessarily have to be something quantifiable, some kind of data point where it's like, I for sure, my mic's bugging me. I have for sure seen this progress, right? Sometimes it can be legitimately an emotional thing.
Right.
I thoroughly enjoy what I'm doing. I am quote unquote happy with what I'm doing. I am happy with what my body does, how it performs, what it looks like, my self-confidence. Like, those are all positive things that can come as a form of quote unquote results.
Yeah.
Okay. So whenever we say results, we're not just talking about you losing pounds,
right,
or you increasing your squat or deadlift. Like, all of those different variables, although they're not the primary focus for a lot of people, those are a form of quote unquote results.
Right.
Would you agree?
Yeah. Well, like when I sit down with newer prospects, and when they want to become a member, and then we go through health coaching with me, that's one thing I try to get as like transparent or be as transparent as I can early on in the understanding that when we talk about results, that is an individual thing. Like results to you are probably very different than what are results to me, and the same thing for our clients.
Well, we're going to talk about that because I fear that there's not enough separation.
Yeah. So, I guess the bigger points for me, and like when I was like thinking of starting Reclaim, if an individual, because I used to see it all the time in my previous, experience at other facilities and gyms and what you'll have, that when an individual only immerses themselves in the workout and their goal is to lose weight, like if they're overweight and they're going in to workout and that's it, they haven't been educated on how to properly nourish, consume enough calories to reach their specific, body weight goal to support muscle mass and the ongoing, recovery needs, yada, 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 things. Listen to any of our previous podcasts. They're going to be very, very disappointed because I would see it all the time. And really what we have to help them identify is you don't have a workout problem. The workout's the easy part.
Right.
Coming in here and being led through a personal training session, semi-private, group class, or even if you're doing personal programming and stuff on your own, the exercise is the easy component of that. You more than likely have a discipline or a food problem. Mm-hmm. And we have to identify that and help you with it. Because if you only continue to just work out, you're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah,
especially if you have a food problem.
The workout's the workout. The workout is the single most constant variable. Now, don't take me literally here. Obviously, the variable can change as far as, so I guess I didn't make it constant, but like the variable of working out for an hour, like that's a given. You're going to do that. That's easy. It really is easy to do.
Right.
What's hard to do is trust the process of it. It's really hard to be on your own line, your own path, and trust that that is what I am supposed to do. Because, I think that when you figure out how to eat well, okay, you figure out how to sleep well, you figure out how to recover, you do all those things, now it's like, okay, where do I go for the next improvement? Immediately everybody says, well, it's the workout. Now you go improve the workout, right?
Yep.
From a certain perspective, I would agree with that. Yeah, you make the workout more challenging. You
Right.
make it longer. You do more work, but I think at a certain time you have to reanalyze what you're doing and ask, is what I'm doing meant to support the goal that I have, mm-hmm. or is it meant to support somebody else's?
Yep.
Or something else?
Yeah.
Or am I doing this because this is what everybody does? Or am I doing this because this is what society tells me I should do? Or am I doing this because I want to look more important than the person back there who's doing simple movements?
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, this is the route that I go, and it's the one that I clearly overanalyze myself. But it's evident.
We really want to help our members out and anyone walking through our doors. So, to kind of like touch on one aspect of that, when someone walks in, a prospect, an individual wanting to become a new member, when I hear the term or the phrase, when my doctor told me that I needed to start exercising or I needed to start working out, my response back to that is, why? Well, it said I needed to lose weight. Okay, well, did we talk about food at all? Mm-hmm. Just to go back to my main point here, and it's like the workout, like that's one small little piece of what you need to do as far as the arsenal of skills you need to acquire to
Right.
reach that specific goal. I'm glad you want to lose weight. I'm happy for you, and I want to help you support that. But it's not just the workouts. You can come in here and work out 3, 4, 5 times a week. Initially, you're going to see some results, but then all of a sudden, you're going to hit a plateau, and you're going to look the same for the next 5 years.
Yeah. And that's kind of, and that kind of plays into my deals because, we see it often, unfortunately. We're not a perfect facility. We don't have everybody completely on board with everything we believe, and that's okay. Everybody has their own way of looking about things. But, I'll be transparent because it's it's my damn podcast.
Put your armor on.
Yeah, we used to, granted from 5 years ago, the way that we program has changed drastically. And we've gone through phases and we've gone through the newest things. Like, we're always trying to adapt what we do, our armor, so that way it is better suited for our members.
Right.
Right. And we, all the way back at the beginning, when I first came here, we had 3 levels of training.
Sorry,
like,
guys.
we were trying to meet people where they were.
Yep.
Okay, and we did. But
it was a chaotic mess.
Yeah, and we really left some people behind as far as the quality control of everything.
Right.
And then we started to fine-tune things. And initially we settled on, okay, here is a workout that you're going to be able to recover from that focuses on fundamental things, yada, yada, yada. And then the second one was, here's the one that's going to absolutely kick you upside the face and be more challenging movements, more challenging dynamic, all that fun stuff. And we're still learning. Absolutely. Hindsight's always 20/20. You know what I mean? I think we had great reasoning for doing so. But the problem became that many of the individuals that would flock towards the higher intensity, I don't believe the reason for going there was solely to support their main goal.
Yep.
And that lies on me and on us as coaches because of the title we gave this programming and what we said it would do.
Right. We're just a bunch of, for lack of better terms, sometimes a bunch of dumb guys that aren't, super intelligent with,
with naming stuff and marketing and whatnot. But here's the deal. The thing is that it supported the social norm of what people understand as high-intensity interval training. HIIT training, CrossFit, all of those different things that combine compound movements, a lot of intensity, and a lot of stuff. The problem is that the movement quality and the ability to recover from these workouts was severely diminished as time went on, and we baited this entire thing for a year. Left me with members that weren't 100% as far as their movement capacity, what they could do. And it was unfortunate because we were trying to stay ahead of recovery things in here and trying to be better about warm-ups and priming and all this. It just it came down to that recovery aspect of this workout versus that workout, and that workout was too much. And it was. Right. The thing is, people really liked it. Okay? So what kept going on in my head, okay, how do I solve this problem? Okay, I have people who think that they need this type of training in order to see any possible results, but I also have the same people that are in this class that have looked the same for 3 years.
Right.
So what there's not a result that we said we were going to achieve happening.
Yeah.
Why are we drawn to this type of training? And that's where I came up with the things that I have noticed for the past 3 years. It's happening gyms across the nation.
Yeah.
It's not just happening here.
Yeah, it's super confusing to us when we see individuals insert themselves into a specific workout
training
program
style.
And they're not doing the things necessary outside of that workout program and within that workout program to render results.
Yeah.
It's like we're just like what's going on here? We talk about it every week.
Yeah, and it's maybe I'm partially to blame for not talking more about recovery. I'm not talking more about how to better nourish your body, or maybe it's just pure negligence. I don't know. But what I do know is that, as we transitioned into a new style of training right now, that's a lot more high volume. We're obviously in strength camp. We're in going into week 3 of strength camp right now. I got people who are doing the easier workout that are outworking the crap out of the people that were doing the high intensity.
Right.
And a lot of it's because it's like, I just missed the high intensity. I missed this and that. I understand that you missed that part and you get something out of it. The people behind you are burning twice as many calories as you.
Right.
Because they're literally not resting. They literally go through it. I got people who can't even go through a warm-up.
Right.
I got people who can't run. I got people who can't do the warm-up that swear that they need intensity in order to see results. I got people who can't do core work. I got people who can't do rehabilitative stuff that are missing out on precious calories, precious opportunities.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And when I call and I talk to other friends of mine that are in the fitness space, I talk to them from a psychological aspect. I said, do you see these things happen? They said, every freaking year.
Yep.
And it has ever since like 2010. So it's not just here.
Yep.
And so then, when we get talking about it and I start talking to a little bit more of my psychology friends about it, I'm like, how do I solve this problem? And they're like, well, I know nothing about fitness, but let me tell you what they're thinking.
Mm-hmm. Let's dive into it, Doctor.
This is fun. Now, like I said, this is purely opinionated by me and a couple of people that I consult with and talk with, because I keep so much data. Mm-hmm. People would be silly to look at my computer and see the data that I keep, especially when we're talking about programs. Mm-hmm. Why do people do workouts that we know for a fact don't benefit them and tear them down excessively faster than something else that is, quote unquote, easier to maintain?
Right.
That is the problem we were trying to solve. The number one thing that he is my friend, that very smart psychology person. They do the workouts for social acceptance. Okay? They're doing the workouts purely to be accepted by peers that are also doing that workout.
Yep. And
that is kind of one of those things where they said they observe people trying to establish a social balance that they don't even understand.
Yep.
Like I look at intensity, and I look at the complex movement. I look at all this stuff knowing that I can't do half of it. I can't do half of it with the intensity that I need, but I'm going to do it because my friend is over there, and my friend will think more of me if I do that workout.
Right.
It's so mind-boggling to me
that
he said that, because I'm like, holy crap, maybe you nailed something in the head. And so he starts talking about it and kind of how they went about observing those kind of things, especially at like different universities and different small group training sessions and whatnot. The other thing that he talked about was just pure egocentric training. He kind of played off of that. He goes, ego is the strongest muscle in your body. I said, well, you didn't take anatomy, but I'm pretty sure I understand what you're saying. He goes, you'll feed that thing more than you'll feed your body what it needs in order to sustain itself. He says, and the best way to know that is put up percentage work. And I said, I already know exactly what you mean. All we're doing is percentage work. He goes, find the people that can't do the percentages. Find the people that literally put their 60% on the bar and they can't do it for a set of 10.
Yep.
Okay, that's an ego thing. A lot of it is not staying within themselves, staying within the moment, and you can often tie that back to the type of training that we're doing leading up to that certain point in time.
For sure.
You know what I mean? So I was like, so obviously he's starting to rock my world as I'm talking about this. And then the last part he says is often we start to look at social status as a key that determines the type of training you do. Mm-hmm. This one kind of puzzled me a little bit because I've always heard that term, the barbell doesn't care what you do for a living. The barbell's still the barbell.
Right.
There's, a debt to be paid for that. But you look at more than just a solid, weight or a piece of iron that you got to put over your head. You look at what the training does that encompasses that, how often, what's the intensity, what does it require of you. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes the people that do the more important things or the more taxing workouts or the more involved workouts that require more of you, it is assumed that that person has a social rank higher than that of somebody doing a lesser workout.
Yeah.
Okay. Does that make sense? Did I word that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So like I'm over here in the corner doing my cleans and snatches while you're over in the other corner doing your single arm rows and suspension rows, and it makes me more important.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, just to recap, these are just things that I was bouncing back and forth between a psychology friend of mine, and we're trying to essentially solve the problem. Why would somebody do a workout that is not beneficial to them? Mm-hmm. Like we know physiology, it does not benefit them, and we've seen the results of it because they've gone backwards.
Yeah.
They become injured. They become this and that.
Well, like if the easiest thing for us, if we were able, and well, we could, but we're not going to, it would not make the best sense business-wise, obviously. And it's also like we want our members to come in and to always enjoy what they're doing. So that in lies one of the problems. But if we really wanted every single person to see results, we would take all of you through personal training. Because we would control the programming, and then you would do what we know is best for you instead of us giving you the opportunity to do what's best for you and then letting you choose.
Well, and I agree and I disagree with that. And it's probably why I'm not the business owner, because it's one of those things where it's like, okay, let's pretend I'm your doctor, okay, and you come to me and I diagnose you with this or whatever, and I start giving you this drug, and I see that the drug causes adverse effects that are worse than the previous symptom you came with, but it has cured your symptom.
Right.
I'm going to keep giving you that drug because it's fixing what you want.
Right.
That makes you happy. But on the flip side, something is getting worse and worse and worse till eventually at some point we're going to have a problem.
Sure.
I look at that as negligence on my part.
Yeah.
So, while I can program the nastiest workout you've ever done in your life, I know that it'll benefit you in that moment of the dopamine rush and the high that you get and all that stuff, but I know I'm not going to see you for 4 days.
Yep.
What have I accomplished for you?
Right.
Nothing. So I look at more as a negligence from a programming standpoint.
Yeah.
Like, I think if you want this, you need to let me be in full control of how I program it for you, and you shouldn't even ask questions.
Sure. Well, that's what I'm saying with the personal training.
Yeah.
If they opted in, or if that was the only service that we had, you would trust in the process. Like, I'm thinking of a handful of clients we've had in here, and even like I'll play out 3 different scenarios. I'm not going to use anyone by name, but we've had one member in here.
Hold on. I need everybody to know that. We're solving a global problem right now. This is not something that is just wreaking havoc in our gym at all.
Yeah, but we're using our own experiences.
Yes, we have experienced it. We do experience it, but it's not like would you think there's like an uprising in here from people? It's just
we're just passionate guys.
This is one of the things that I've heard in conversation from different gym owners, different friends, different strength and conditioning coordinators. Like, how do I get people to understand that this workout doesn't benefit them, but I got to do it because this is what I enjoy.
Right.
That's what we're trying to solve right now.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So, like when we did more of the performance like style of programming for our large classes, we had a female who she just was not recovering from that. She chose to opt out. She went into the less intense stuff, the less sexy, if you will, and she started to see a lot of opportunity and a lot of results. And now she kind of sways back and forth, but she understands how her body is able to recover and how she's going to benefit the most from the training. Yeah. And we've also had individuals completely opt out of that more group setting because they've come to the understanding and the conclusion they can't control their competitive nature in that context. Like, they're going to push it regardless. And like, that's probably more like realistically of how I would be. If there's something written on the board and I know that I'm not going to be able to recover, I don't care. Like, I'm going to win. That's what I came in here for. So that's just more on the individual learning in that journey, understanding themselves and how they will get the most out of that training. But then I've also seen clients of yours, PT clients, where you'll scratch everything you're doing just to go back to the basics of like, let's just function the right way and build up to the more intense stuff, and then they see results. Yeah,
well, it just goes back to our topic from last episode. Like, the workout is the catabolic aspect of training. Like, it is what breaks down. Nothing is built here. This is a demolition factory.
Yep.
Okay, and so a lot of the times you get into the high intensity stuff, like, you do it for a long time. Like, you should not just wake up with random neck pain, shoulder pain, back pain, knee pain, and it just be something you have to pop a leave and throw some icy hot on it and go train like that. Especially if you're in your 30s and 40s and you're not in any kind of competitive nature.
Right.
Like, that's not
a good place to be.
a good place to be.
Yeah.
And people will be like, oh, I don't care, it's just my competitive nature. Okay, well, so is drinking Mick Ultras on the weekend, but obviously you can see that these two fight each other, and you can't do that.
Right.
Okay, otherwise you are going to find yourself all the way deep into that hole, and you're not going to know how to scratch out.
Yep.
Okay, one day that your hormones are going to be completely out of whack. It's going to shut your body down as almost like a defense mode, and it's going to be months and years and lots of time trying to crawl out. We've seen that too.
Yep.
And it's not fun. You know, it's not fun to have those conversations with people, but it's just one of those things that, you know, hindsight's always going to be 20/20. You'll look back at it and think, man, I really should have done that differently.
Right.
So you guys can see where this comes, you know, full circle for us coaches and facility operators and owners and PT coaches. Like, how can we talk to members? How can we talk to our clients? How can we talk to people about truly taking a step back and saying, you know, physiology is not my department. Most of the people that come here, physiology is not their department.
Nope.
Super important and very smart people elsewhere in their realm.
Right.
Physiology is not their department. How do we get them to trust our understanding of physiology, our understanding of programming, adaptation, stimulus, all that return, and figure out on an isolated standpoint what is the best for me and how can I mentally be okay with doing it? Because going back to the very first thing you talked about, if the workout is the only reason you work out, you'll probably have a very diminished amount of results.
Yeah.
And worse, you go backwards. And backwards is different for everybody. Backwards could be putting on weight. Backwards could be having blood sugar problems. Backwards could be having high blood pressure. Backwards could be having joint problems, injury, you know, anything that would signify that your body is not recovering or operating properly.
Yep.
Right? So the question is like, how do you have that conversation with people?
That's a good question.
Yeah, that's why we're sitting here talking about it. Since we've talked about the problem, kind of thrown in our own experiences, things that we observe, I guess before you talk about answering the question, where'd the problem come from? How does that evolve?
Yeah.
Where did it originate? Why do people think that their understanding of physiology, I don't want to go that way. Why do they think that their understanding of a result comes from doing the exact same thing as somebody else? I don't know if I worded that right, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Where did that mindset come from?
I think, you made a point, like kind of referring back to 2010. That was the year that you threw out. And just like the way that I've seen the fitness landscape change greatly is, it went from like this bodybuilding realm quickly into this competitive CrossFit, powerlifting, Olympic lifting. And don't get me wrong, we've talked about this a lot. CrossFit has done amazing things for fitness facilities, but one of the, in my opinion, like glaring issues is it's formed like this online hub and community in which everyone thinks simply because they participate in some of those things, like intensity's the way and it's the only way, and we've lost that, like you're saying, that relationship with the coach, the professional, the individuals who, they really do know how to get you to where it is that you want to be. But we're always combating against that because we're always combating against what everyone else reads online.
Yeah.
From the influencers.
Yeah. And I don't think, the only thing with CrossFit, and just for people's understanding, I ran a CrossFit gym for 2 years, so I have firsthand knowledge of this. The thing about CrossFit is that the constant that they have is intensity. The methodology of CrossFit is not always intensity, but it's never, intensity is sexy.
Right.
ROMWAD is not sexy. Intensity is sexy. Doing joint manipulation is not sexy.
Right.
Like, to a very small margin of people, is recovery sexy in the CrossFit world? It's just about who can do the gnarliest complex with the best weight and who can also walk on their hands. You know what I mean? And I don't get me wrong.
The jack of all trades.
Stuff is cool.
Yeah.
Like, it's fun to watch.
Right.
But it's when people who run a regular 9 to 5 and lead high-stress lives think that they can do the exact same thing, live the exact same life that you see on social media, is where it drives you into the hole.
Sure. Well, just a quick mention on that. Why did Rich Froning quit competing in the sense of his old CrossFit career?
I don't know.
Children.
Oh,
want to spend more time with family.
Yeah.
He's had a growing family.
Right.
That is a big stressor.
He made enough money too.
In an individual's life. Like, we're not saying we
you
both
wanted to start
competed.
growing bison. Are you kidding me?
We're all about performance and intensity and competing when it's relevant and when an individual can actually do what's necessary to be in that goal. Stay in your lane.
It's crazy. I have one person that I specifically program for competition. And her programming is totally different than everybody else's. Her training is totally different than everybody else's.
Right.
Her life is different than everybody else's. And I don't mean her job, because she works a standard 9 to 5 type deal, but her life outside of that is so different than everybody else's.
Yep.
And she understands that has to happen in order for her to be at the top of her game. Now, does she get it perfect all the time? No. Give her crap for it all the time. But it is significantly different than anybody else who tries to take on a competition style of training.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the thing about competitive training is that usually the intensity is high. So this is where we're drawing the comparison between high intensity training and competition. A lot of people say, well, it's not about competition. I would agree. But if you're not competing with yourself in high intensity, what are you doing?
Yep.
You're doing a movement that has no intensity, that also is probably not getting you very much. You know what I mean? Like, if you're doing a bike interval, okay, so you're doing an interval training on the bike and you're not getting your heart rate to a certain degree, you don't have intensity.
Right.
You're not getting anything done.
Just going through the motions.
You're going through the motions.
And that's
but
the
bad
thing.
part is that you do it and you're like, I'm doing this movement that is of understanding a higher intensity movement than everybody else, so therefore I'm doing more.
Right.
That's crap.
Yep. Yeah.
You're not working hard.
Yeah, anything that you do, and not just all individuals participating in any kind of exercise. Like, one thing I would hope that all would want to do is just do everything to the best of your ability, technique, all of it, and do it every single time. Don't take reps off. Don't do quarter squats. Don't do just do the best you can do. It's that easy.
Yeah. So I think that, in order to really identify where this came from, you had to understand that intensity really started to open eyes to people around the 2010. But I think even more than that, dude, I'm telling you right now, I graduated in 2013, and I think the only social media platform that was really popping at that time was Facebook.
Yeah.
You're talking a social media boom, exploded in those early 2010 years. And along with that was the perfect timing of this storm of intensity-driven exercises being the only thing that is going to get you the results of the people that are on your news feed.
Right.
And so it cracks me up when we used to look back into the 70s of what exercise looked to people. I mean, they're eating steak and eggs and putting dumbbells over their heads. Females too.
Yeah.
That's what they did.
Right.
You know what I mean? And nobody questioned it. That was how physiology reacted to a stimulus.
Yeah.
And that got you a result.
Right.
But it's not sexy.
Yep.
So therefore, nowadays, if it's not sexy, you're not going to put it on Instagram. You know why? Because nobody likes anything that's not sexy. So that means you're not going to get those little hearts.
Yeah, your algorithm isn't going anywhere.
You got no likes.
Right.
So it goes back to everything that's sexy, right? If it's not sexy, I'm not going to do it. Because if it's not sexy, I can't put it on social media. And if I can't put it on social media, nobody's going to like that I'm doing it.
Sure.
There's so much.
Yeah, this could be like a 3-part podcast. I mean, this is...
I'm not going to let it be one.
This is...
right now, I'm already done talking about it.
It's a big reason why I wrestled with for so long, when Colton posed this question, like how do we get our members to set, just real goals that like mean something to them. And I'm like, well, I guess if what they want isn't that important, then they have to think bigger picture, you know. And like one of our things now, we want individuals to like to take on health more and to like prioritize that in their family and in their community and so on and so forth. So if you're coming in and you're concerned so much, and again, any fitness facility, any workout, with what other people are thinking about you, you know, is that really helping you reach your specific goal? How this is going to look on social media, how this is going to be represented in the class or whatever.
So I'll be the first to admit that I'm guilty of that. You know, I especially post COVID, when we got back into things, I was really hell-bent on making my presence known as far as Reclaim, as far as me, as far as Southeastern Indiana Barbell, which is our USAW affiliate here. I wanted them to have a social presence to where people were looking at him and were like, damn, this dude knows what he's doing. Like, I want to see what this guy does. Because maybe it's just informational based. This is what I like. And all I did was program workouts that would cater to that. The only workouts that I actually ended up doing would be to cater that. You know, I got through looking up, you know, I looked at back at one of my old books a couple weeks ago, and like, I'm looking at my snatch sets on there, and like, I missed 4 lifts. And I'm sitting there back thinking, well, I guarantee I didn't post anything on that day. I mean,
right.
I didn't post anything that day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So 100% totally guilty of that. The best time I have ever been as far as consistent training, feeling happy about what I was doing, and felt great as far as the results of my training is when I deleted all that shit.
Yep.
I mean, it's not even on my phone. And you know, even my iPhone like sends me a message every Sunday like, hey, your screen time's down. You all right? You alive over there? Like, things going on. You need to, here's a notification that you need to get back on Facebook. You get like 7,000 notifications. Dude, I'm telling you, it has made a huge difference in my life.
Right.
And maybe I'm just a, you know, one-off shot that it happened to have that effect. But, man, you never know what that could do to your emotional freedom when you don't have to sit there and scroll and then rely on the likes of other people. It was so funny because like even like I don't know about you, but I'm a Dave Ramsey guy. You a Dave Ramsey guy?
Yeah, I've learned a lot from Dave.
So
Dave
Dave always was talking about, you know, like, we're saving for a car. You know, he used to say that, you know, you're going to go take out a banknote for a fancy car, so that way you can press the guy at the red light that you're never actually going to meet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that makes me think about like social media. It's like you're going to do the things that make you look fancy and an elevated, you know, lifestyle for somebody that you're never even going to have a conversation with.
Right.
You know, never get anything in return from that person. And the same can be done with exercise.
Yep.
I mean, you're going to do this workout that you're not going to get anything in return from because it gives you whether you're actually throwing it on social media or not, it could just be all in your head as far as like, I know that I'm doing this and this according to what I have observed is more intense, it's more important, it's more complicated. Therefore, all of those things put together make it a quote-unquote better workout than the contingency plan or the easier workout. I mean, it's like I'll do that one when I'm hurt.
Yeah.
And it doesn't actually give you anything. You know, and so it's such a weird problem. And I still think to this day, if you're ever going to get into the fitness space as a coach, you better take a lot of psychology classes first. Yeah. I mean, I think that's probably the first thing that I would do if I ever went back is you know, further my education in the psychology realm.
Gotta have some tough skin.
It is. It's, you know, and it definitely, it tests you.
Yeah, for sure.
It tests you. It's nothing like somebody coming up and asking for advice and doing everything that you did not say.
Yeah. Yep. We had that conversation last week.
Yeah. So, I mean, we both experienced it a little bit. So, the biggest thing here, guys, is, you know, like I said, I've actually talked to 3 different business/fitness owners that run strength and conditioning as their primary. One is a CrossFit gym. And I said, do you see this? Like, is this something that is just happening here? Because if it was, I wanted to know about it. You know what I mean? Like, I need to know if it's only happening
James,
here.
this place sucks.
Yeah, so, like, I need to know. And they're like, dude, no, that happens all the time. I said, well, what do you do about it? And they're like, nothing. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to do that. But, you know, how can we look at it and identify what the hell is going on?
Sure.
Why is this the problem that we're having? And let me be the first to tell you, if this is the worst thing that anybody's got to deal with, we're doing all right.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, we're doing all right.
But we want to constantly get better. When we see things that might be, or they're potentially on their way of being problematic, we're going to address it early on.
It's a relentless pursuit of perfection.
Yeah.
We know we're never going to be perfect.
Right.
Nor do we necessarily want to be, but you can't take your foot off the gas and get complacent about thinking, like, well, what we do or what this program does or what we talk about, like, this is gold. This is it. It'll never change. That's not how it works.
Yeah, we think of our facility like training a muscle. Like, we're going to continue to break it down and it's going to heal, or it's going to break it down, it's going to heal. But we're not just going to let it atrophy over in the corner. Right.
Yeah. So for those of you that have no affiliation with our gym, it may be something to look at, maybe something to contemplate. You guys that do different types of training, why do you do that training? Okay, ask yourself that. Why do I do powerlifting? Why do I do CrossFit? Why do I do bodybuilding? Why do I do any of these things? And if it's not because it is meant to give me the result that I want, then in my mind, you're wasting your time. Okay. Now, don't get me wrong. I do think you need to enjoy things, because enjoying anything is going to keep you consistent.
Sure.
But I was going to say something really bad. But I enjoy nachos. I'm not.
You only eat them 3 nights of the week.
I can't eat them 5 days in a row, man. I really enjoy nachos. I get that. A lot of people go to a facility in a gym and they want to do the things that they like, the things that'll make them come back. But I'm telling you right now, that's called bias training. Yep. And bias training does not give you results.
It's going to jack you all
for
up.
long. Okay, it might give you initial results if you first start. It will not give you sustainable results. You have to play around in those areas that you just flat out suck.
Right. Yep.
Now, and here's the thing, you might know all the movements, you might be able to do all of them in your sleep. Can you do them for a lot of volume? Can you do them for a lot of sets, a lot of reps at certain percentages? You might find out that, shoot, I can't even do a single arm row for a full 30 seconds. And that might be all you need to really kick the crap out of your butt and kick things in gear. And it's like, holy crap, man, I feel good. I'm recovering. I can do this every day. I'm burning more calories. And, it's just, you can't just look at things and be like, this is what I like, this is why I do it, because that doesn't necessarily form discipline. Right. And if you're not a disciplined person, don't talk to me. I just, I got nothing good
I'll
to
help
say.
you with the discipline, then Colton will take over.
I got nothing good to say for right now. So you got to do some things that you're not comfortable doing. You got to do some things that you don't necessarily like, because they will benefit you. It can't just be about things that you love to do. You got to do things that you don't like to do, because they're more than likely the ones that are the most important.
Yeah, well, we should probably, before we use all of our time here, we talked about this just a second ago. Well, look, we're the professional. We are the professionals in this realm. So hopefully, individuals coming in, they want our advice. They want to utilize us as a vessel to help them get to where it is that they want to be. But first, we have to understand where that place is. Like, if you had a lot of financial issues from decisions that you had made in your past, you would hire some kind of consultant or an advisor to scrub through and look through that. They're not going to tell you to just keep doing things the way that you currently are. They're going to probably tell you draw some hard lines.
They probably wouldn't tell you to go look on social media either.
Yeah, they're going to give you a rule book.
Ask somebody on social media, he'll tell you how to handle it.
A guide and a program. Any sports team's the same way. If you have a good coach, they're going to make you do the things that you probably don't want to do.
Perfect example for me would be like when I told him about it. I was like, when I was in school, I was a dual sport athlete that played baseball and football. I was pretty undersized for a college athlete. And granted, this is only D3, but I'm still not very big. I was hamburger meat every weekend. Like, I was just busted up with something. And I relied on the expertise of somebody that I did not know, because they had more information than I had that was able to get me back on the field.
Right.
Granted, as I got older, I started learning more about the field that they were in, and thus I started to build some knowledge. But it wasn't enough to challenge the professional. Right. I'm talking about an athletic trainer. Mm-hmm. Okay, they knew that this is how what you're going to have to do in order to get back on the field. Mm-hmm. Of course, I knew about recovery a little bit, just from the anatomy and physiology classes. You can let her in. Anatomy and physiology classes that I was in. But it wasn't enough to trump a professional.
Yep.
Okay? And I think that just, especially when you get on social media, it's a information hub. People pass out information like crazy.
Yep.
You have no idea if that information is right or wrong.
Exactly.
But you have information now that you can dispose of however you wish and challenge people on.
Sure.
But if you don't talk about it and you just assume that what you read is right.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Again, that's just a whole other issue. Someone can put something on social media or on the internet, and they might have a large following, and who knows how they got that large following. That doesn't mean what they're publishing and putting out is quality stuff.
Yeah. Yep. Seen that a lot before it went bye-bye. But we got to wrap this up.
When workouts are not enough. So I guess when workouts are enough, when an individual understands their goals, when they're going to come in and put forth the effort to reach those goals, not only in but also outside of the facility, and then their understanding of their what they expect when they come in here. They're not doing it for other people. They're not doing it for posting it online. They're doing it because they have something specific they want to get after, and they're going to work for it.
I think one of the biggest mistakes you can do in the fitness realm is disrespect physiology.
Yeah.
You cannot disrespect how the body adapts. You cannot disrespect what it needs in order to be sustainable in a certain discipline. If you want high intensity, complex movements, you have to respect what that is and what it demands of you.
Sure.
If you don't have that respect, you don't deserve that.
Yeah.
Like your body does not deserve that. How about that? Okay. Take your brain and what you think out of it. Your body doesn't deserve that. That's negligence to your body.
Right.
Right. All right. We're wrapping up, guys. This is the Silver Bowl Podcast. Out.